everyone and welcome. I'm Lily. This is Legit Nutrition Hawaii. And I know that I have breached this subject before of learning to love yourself, but gosh, isn't it such a huge topic? We could just talk about it for forever. And I know how helpful it is for human beings to hear kind of the same message in different ways. So here I am. We're going to talk about it some more. So you can't love yourself if you don't know yourself. I know that might sound a little bit crazy because you're like, hey asshole, I've spent every day of my life with myself. Of course I know myself, but in this day and age it's pretty easy to get swamped with other people's expectations or the expectations of the media or your dumb shit friends, all kinds of different people. So figuring out who you are and what's really important to you and what really creates happiness and contentment within your own self is something that is not as easy or as simple as it sounds. Beyond that, you have absolutely no hope of being able to learn how to love yourself if you don't accept yourself for every single stupid, crazy, inadequate thing you have ever done. You can't love yourself if you're ashamed of yourself. You can't love yourself if you are so shit scared that people are gonna see the real you and either laugh or be horrified or reject you. Self-love under these circumstances is impossible. We all have a list that we keep cataloged inside us. And that list was put there by people who raised us. It was put there by the teachers who taught us, the media that has brainwashed us, or maybe even ourselves. And that list is unofficial documentation of every single thing about ourselves that we believe to be unacceptable, unworthy, unlovable, bad, ugly, or hateful. And whether or not we're aware that it exists, it does. It keeps us paralyzed in shame. The list wakes us up in the middle of the night. The list makes us feel like we have to work very, very diligent at hiding our true selves from the world. The list triggers a voice inside of our heads that says, who do you think you are? Or, no one could ever love me like this. We keep this list really well hidden inside ourselves, so much so that most of us aren't even aware of its existence. This list and the belief systems that it creates feel unforgivably real. But I want to tell you right now that it's complete bullshit. If you're gonna learn how to love yourself, how to genuinely accept yourself as a whole person, you're gonna have to write the list. You're gonna have to catalog all of the things that you find appalling and shameful and awful about yourself. And yes, you're absolutely right. It's horrendously uncomfortable. It makes you feel dangerously vulnerable. You start sweating a lot. You feel like you might throw up. You want to distract yourself with anything. Anything. Eating, binging, working out, Facebook, Netflix, the list doesn't end. Sticking with the task of unpacking your own inadequacies and failures is hard and painful and sad. And unfortunately, it can take a long time to uncover all of these deeply seated ideas about your inadequacies and failures. But I want you to know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are worth it. Your happiness is worth it. Your contentment is worth it. Your success is worth it. Simply by existing and wanting something better for yourself, you are worth every effort. Even though when you're looking at all of this stuff about yourself that you hate, life will suddenly feel harder and more depressing. All of that happens at first. But I would like to assure you with the strictest confidence that you will get through it. The light and the happiness and the optimism will return to your life. Only this time, you'll really be in a position to enjoy the beauty of it. But I can hear the collective frustration. I felt it for so long too. Like, thanks Lily, I get it. I need to love myself. I have to uncover all the reasons why I feel unlovable and unworthy. Thanks for the news flash, But how the fuck do I do that? Loving yourself is an abstract idea. Even writing a list of all of the objectionable things about yourself is pretty damn abstract too when you think about it. You need something actionable, god damn it. Alright, so even though it's like completely different for everyone, so giving, actionable steps is kind of difficult, I'm gonna try. So step 1 is identifying your triggers. What gets you into an emotionally charged state? What thoughts leave you feeling physically uncomfortable? What exactly goes through your head as you zombie walk into the kitchen? What's the underlying fear there? Because those thoughts, that anxiety, that fear is going to show you where the shame is. So when I was binging, one of my huge triggers was thinking about the future. I was terrified of the future. I was terrified that I would fail, that I wouldn't be good enough, that I would end up destitute and alone, helpless. I was terrified that I would fail at even being loved. I was terrified that I didn't have the answers and I didn't know how to succeed. I was terrified that I was too lazy and too stupid and too fucked up. And I was always terrified that I would be discovered as the monster that I was and be rejected by the people I needed to love me. Beyond that, I was also terrified of making the wrong choices and wasting my life, wasting my potential. I was terrified I had already ruined everything, and I was scared that the weight I'd gained would ruin every chance I had for fun or love or beauty. I felt so ashamed of myself, of my habits, of the fact that I lost control of myself so often. I felt ashamed of the weight I'd gained, my appearance, my acne, the fact that I was alone, that seemingly no one wanted to be with me. No one wanted to take the risk of being with me. I had thoughts like, I can love myself when I stop binging. Someone will love me if I lose 40 pounds. Someone will love me if my skin is clear. I can start living my life once I'm perfect. And I really did believe that I would be safe and secure and happy once someone loved me. These kinds of thoughts would just sweep over me like a tsunami, and they created so much anxiety, but I couldn't face that anxiety. It felt too terrifying. And so that energy, it had to go somewhere. And so it went into binging, and it went into purging, and it went into fits of frustration and disappointment, and it all cycled back and refed the reasons why I felt like I couldn't be worthy, like I couldn't be loved. And it would start all over again. And the binging, the addiction, the bad habits made it so much easier to deal with the anxiety, because when I started feeling that anxiety, instead of looking at the real reason, I could point to the binging and say, I'm anxious because I binged, I'm anxious because I purged, I'm anxious because I gained 40 pounds. And so that would make the solution so much easier. I won't be anxious once I don't binge. If I can just control myself, my anxiety will go away. But that was incredibly backwards thinking. Breaking that cycle was really hard. I failed so many times, but I kept trying, even though it felt fruitless, and I had no idea if I would ever be successful at being able to free myself. Even just being able to realize when I was caught up in a fit of self-hate and anxiety was terrifying. And then I would realize it, but I couldn't stop it. And so I just have to watch myself go through it over and over and over again. I felt like I was losing control, but slowly, so freaking slowly, I started being able to convince myself that I was worth the effort. And I started talking myself through it. Like, literally talking out loud to myself in the third person. Still do it. Literally taking myself into the bathroom and telling myself, you're okay. You're enough. You are acceptable exactly as you are. You fucked up. You made a mistake. That's okay. That is okay. It's not the end of the world. I love you. And that is enough, even if no one else ever does. You're okay. You're gonna get through this. You just have to breathe. Just keep breathing. In, out. See? You're okay. These types of little mini speeches became like my freaking mantras. I would just repeat this encouraging self-talk over and over again while I was walking, while I was driving, on runs, on bike rides, when I was trying to fall asleep at night, when I was friggin' on the plane to Hawaii. Nowhere is off limits to turning it into a meditation on I'm gonna be okay. I would have conversations with myself like, you're gonna be okay. I'm really anxious. Yeah, I feel that. It's okay. You can be anxious. It's okay to be anxious. It's natural to be anxious. You're okay. Okay, I feel like I might throw up. Of course you do. You're anxious, and that's okay. Anxiety happens. Why don't you just sit down for a minute? I don't feel like I'm allowed to sit down for a minute. I'm supposed to be productive right now. Yeah, but, you're not going to be productive right now. And that's okay. Not everyone can be productive all the time. Just sit on the couch. Take a few minutes for yourself. Okay. It was a process, to say the least. But eventually, the kind self-talk became my habit. Eventually, the negative self-talk was actually a surprise. And I could stop it. No, I'm so stupid. I messed up. You're not stupid. Smart people mess up too. It's okay. You talk to yourself as if you would talk to a friend who you love who's having a hard time. And eventually, out of the blue, I just realized that I could actually feel what people were talking about when they talked about self-love. I knew what they meant. Eventually, I realized that I felt secure enough in that self-love to be able to work through all of the issues that were causing me anxiety, like fear of my future. And unfortunately, that work never really ends, but it does bring you to a point of contentment. It brings you to a point where you are objectively able to make better choices for yourself without the emotional charge. It brings you to a point where life feels livable again. Being alive feels possible, and maybe even exciting. It's not fast, it's not overnight, and it's not without bucket loads of tears, and probably more than one panic attack, but nothing is more worth it. Just give up the hope of being perfect, of being normal, whatever that is. Give up the expectation that you have to be someone or something specific before you're worthy of love or kind treatment. I don't care what you've done. I don't care who you are. You're worthy right now. Repeat that to yourself as many times as it takes. And extra points if it makes you cry like a baby. You're going to be okay. You are. I know right now all you can see is your weakness and your pain, but I'll tell you right now that only the strongest people are able to take the steps that you have already taken. Only the strongest people are able to look at themselves in all of their fucked up, messy, trembling glory. Being strong doesn't mean that you don't feel. Being strong doesn't mean that you don't fail or falter. It doesn't mean that parts of you don't break in the process. Strength means you keep trying anyway. Love means assuring yourself that you are worth the effort. I read comments and I get messages from you guys from all ages and all over the world telling me of your struggles and also assuring me of your perseverance. You guys get it. You are getting it. And I cannot say enough how proud I am. I am so excited for everyone right now who is starting this journey or who has already started it and who is learning themselves, who's taking the time to invest in their own happiness and contentment, because your lives are going to blossom in front of you in ways that you could never imagine, and it's gonna feel so good. And it's these kinds of people that are gonna change the world. So thank you all so much for sharing yourselves with me. I am absolutely honored, just honored to be here. Until next time, I already know you're making better choices for yourself, so I'll just remind you, because we can never be reminded enough, to take really, really, really good care I'll see you next time. You know, I will share one more other tidbit about, my own journey towards loving myself and learning how to live my life and be happy and free and excited for living, even when I was 40 pounds heavier and my skin was breaking out terribly and I felt like a troll. And this shirt is actually part of it. I was in Nicaragua and I had just decided to go for it and live my life, and I had gone to Hawaii and I was running around in bikinis all the time, even though I felt like a bloated marine mammal. And I was in Nicaragua and we were having so much fun, and I came to this thrift store and I actually ended up buying this shirt, and it's kind of see-through, and God, I just ran around everywhere in it. I think I wore it as a dress half the time, and I just had so much fun, and it was so bright and so not what I had let myself wear previously. I felt fat and I was like, oh, I'll just wear black sweatpants and black tank top and a hoodie all the time. Boo, boo, boo. I was like, fuck that shit. I was like, oh, my hair's frizzy. I'm not gonna wear my hair down because it's frizzy and the curls are out of control. I was like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna wear my hair down and I'm gonna let it get long and tangled, and I'm gonna go and have fun and wear long dangly earrings and these super bright colored shirts, and I'm just not gonna give a shit about what anybody else thinks. And you know what? I had a fucking blast. I had so much fun that I forgot I was miserable. Don't get me wrong, I cried at home plenty too, but yeah. Learn yourself, live your life, let yourself get happy about whatever the fuck makes you happy. And this shirt makes me happy.